to my computer. So there you go. Okay. Well, we're missing a couple people, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So for those of you not here, I will download it and then put it on I have to download it, transfer it to YouTube, and then send you the YouTube link when I'm done. So I will do all that today.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Okay.
But so it'll be there for you too, Cheryl. That way, if you want to.
Yeah, because I'm probably, I don't know. I have the stuff and everything, but
Well, I have a lot of, when I'll be honest, when I bought this set a long time ago, and this is one that's in the annual catalog. So I decided, you know what, let's try this one for a class. And I didn't have very many takers, but that's okay. And when I first started with this one, I was kind of struggling a little bit. And I've had that happen here lately where I pick a set and then I don't know what to do with it. And I apologize for the pounding and the cutting you're going to hear in the background. They're working on siding on the side of the craft room today of all days, but it's not raining right now. So anyway, but yeah, I kind of struggled a little bit, but then once I got going on it, hopefully you'll like all the projects I came up with. So for project number 1, you want to get out your packet number 1. And we're going to make this card right here.
okay. Okay.
So here's
I got it out and I folded it. I mean, you know, where it was scored, I folded that.
right. Now I did emboss the front half of the card base with the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. I didn't pre-emboss for all of you because I think most of you have that embossing folder, and you don't have I know it's hard to see it on the video. I'm going to try and tip it a little
Oh, I
bit.
can see it now.
So, and if you don't have it, you can always emboss it with, you know, any embossing folder you want, or you can leave it blank. You don't have to emboss it, but you
Okay.
have that option if you want to. So what we're going to do is, and let me get my ruler so I can, because you're going to need your paper cutter, because we're going to be cutting a lot of paper because I didn't pre-cut, because you're going to be picking paper from your packet. So on this one, I use this soft succulent piece right here. On the one today, I'm going to use this soft succulent piece. And you want to cut a piece of DSP that is going to be 2 inches by 5 inches. And what I do is, and you have to be careful about your pattern, how you're cutting too. But quite often when I know I'm going to be cutting like 2 by 5, you could just cut your 2 inches off just like this and then cut it down to the 5. But then you end up with this tiny little strip. So quite often, and because the piece I'm using has a pattern here, hang on just a sec. I'm going to turn the light off and see if I can get rid of that glare. Let's see if that's better. A little bit. Oh, it's a little bit better. Well, I think it's coming from my window. All right. I'm going to turn.
So you picked a piece of DSP.
So yes, you want to pick a piece of DSP, and it's going to layer on top of Evening Evergreen and then the soft succulent like this. So here was the one I did for the sample that you'll see in the directions. For today's, I'm going to use this one right here. And you just have to remember how you pick. Oh, here, let me spotlight. What am I thinking? Haven't spotlighted. Let me spotlight. No, I want to spotlight me.
Video. I don't want to video. The arrow, click the arrow.
Remove spotlight. And I want to spotlight me. Not all of us. Remove spotlight. Okay, come on, Debbie, you can do this today. Gallery. Oh, hey, Amanda, is that you coming on? Stop video chat. Okay, there we go. Okay, Now, here we go. Now we're cooking. Okay, so we're gonna cut your piece of DSP down to 2 inches by 5 inches for the first card. So Amanda, we're working on our first card. This is it right here. Now, what I do is, because the piece I have picked has a definite pattern, I'm gonna turn it the sideways first, and I'm going to cut at 5. So I'm going to cut an inch off the bottom. And I do that so I don't end up with just one tiny little scrap, because I'm going to show you eventually what to do with your scraps. And then I'm going to—
wait a minute. Which one are you using? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm using this piece right here, but you can pick whatever piece you want. Originally, I used this piece here for my DSP, but you pick whatever color you like. Maybe there's a color you like better. And you just want to cut your first piece at 2 inches by 5 inches.
Okay, just give me.
You're fine. I mean, it's a pretty simple card to make. So then you'll be able to layer your DSP on top of the—
Oh, maybe I'm looking at the wrong. That's red on the back. Oh.
2 by 5, 2 by 5 and a quarter. Okay. Just a little note here, because I cut the evening evergreen a little shorter than it should have been. It should be cut, at least my piece. So your evening evergreen piece should be cut at 2 1/4 by 5 1/4, but mine is only 5 inches long. So if yours is 5 inches long, you have an option here. You can either lay this piece down just like this, or you could cut it the 1/4 inch off right here. My bad, I just somehow messed up. I'm going to leave it just like that, and I'm going to layer it on just like this. So we're going to attach those pieces just like that. I'm not going to make a big deal about that 1/4 inch. So attach your DSP to the piece of evening evergreen.
I'll put this away so it doesn't get funny. I got a piece. So it's 2 inches by 5 inches. If I'm driving you crazy with my questions, tell me to shut up.
No, you are fine. And like I said, that'll be the nice thing about recording it, is because then you can go back and watch it.
Good. Oh, come on.
And then once you have your DSP attached to the evening evergreen, you can attach it to the front of your card. Here, let me lay this up here so you can see what we've got going on. Because here's the card we're making. Okay. And I put it over to like the left-hand side. You don't have to. If you like it on the other side, you can go to the other side, either side or work. Okay. So there's that portion. I just need to grab something really quick. Okay. Everybody with me? So now what we're going to do is you have, let me pull out my pieces here. Envelope. You have your envelope. You have your basic white that goes on the inside. I'm going to set those aside. Then here we have 2 circles. We have the little tag, and you should have a couple of scrap pieces, one of basic white and one of soft succulent. What we're going to do is stamp the stocking, and you can pick either one of them in soft succulent on the basic white. And then all I did with this scrap piece of soft succulent is I die cut a solid one out, as you can see on this card right here. Stamped one and then die cut the other. And then I painted them both with Wink of Stella. So we're going to stamp the stocking, and I gave you extra just in case you wanted to stamp more than one, or die cut 2 of the stamped ones or 3 or however many you want to put on the front of your card. You can do as many as you want. I stamped off first, I can tell right now. So I'm going to show you the difference. I'm going to stamp off. I'm going to flip this over and then stamped it lighter. This is the full strength. This is lighter. I liked the lighter color better. So if you like the full strength, definitely go with full strength. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my mini here to die cut with today. So once you have that stamped, again, sorry for the pounding. Can you guys hear that pounding?
Yeah,
Oh, is it really loud?
no,
Okay.
it's not really loud.
Okay.
So which, does it matter which stocking?
No, you can use whatever one you like the best. It does not matter.
Sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. Are you there, Amanda?
I'm here, but
Okay.
the video isn't working, so I'm just going to go with it.
Well, I am recording it too. And I wasn't, that's why I texted you and I texted Charlotte and I thought, well, maybe, you know, people are out of power. I don't know. I was worried about running out of power. So, or our power going out. So that was why I sent out that email yesterday, but I thought I would text just to make sure. And then right when I was getting to text, Cheryl came on. So I thought, well, things are good then. Okay, so you're going to die cut one that you stamped, or maybe you stamped 2 or 3. That's up to you. And then one, I did one in the solid all by itself. I didn't stamp on the soft succulent. I just die cut it out solid. But you certainly can. Okay, so we're going to die cut second one here. Okay, stick that back aside. Set this here because I will use it again. Okay, now once you have those 2 die cut, I'm going to bring my card back in over here. I just layered them like one on top of each other, like side by side like this. And then I put the Winkostella on afterwards. Now, if you don't have Winkostella, you don't have to put Winkostella on, but if you don't have Winkostella, you need to get Winkostella. It's like the awesome glittery stuff that, and it's alcohol based. So when you paint it on, it dries instantly. Okay, so there's that part. So what we're going to do here is you also have this tiny little banner here that looks like this. And I stamped with the Season's Greetings, this really tiny one that looks like this. And I stamped off to the right of the banner because I tucked the banner in underneath the circles like this. If you don't want to necessarily tuck it, maybe you want to lay it on top, you can do it however you want. So before you stamp your phrase, kind of decide how you want to lay it out. So if you want, you can put your basic white onto your basic white circle onto the layering evening evergreen circle.
So you use the soft succulent for the ink for the stocking, right?
Right. And I stamped off once so it wasn't so dark because it is darker. As you can see right here on my mat, that's full strength. When I stamped it here, this is 2nd generation stamping, so it's lighter. Sorry for the glare. It's coming from my window, not my lights. I need to get blinds still. Another thing on the to-do list of what to get. So I layered the basic white circle onto the evening evergreen circle, and then I'm just going to put the stockings on top in the center, just like that. Now, I didn't use dimensionals for the stockings, but you certainly can. And the reason I didn't is because I used dimensionals on the circles at the behind that, and I didn't want too many things popped up, but you could use dimensionals because I use dimensionals.
So you took and used, you did the stocking twice on the white piece.
I only stamped the stocking once, and then I die cut just a single stocking right here out of that piece that you have a small piece of soft succulent in your packet.
Oh, okay, okay.
But you can stamp it twice if you want. I gave you enough paper to stamp it twice or 3 times probably if you wanted. So if you want it a stamped image twice, you can do it that way. But I did just a solid one. It's not stamped. It's just solid. And then it's painted with the wink of Stella.
Okay, and you cut towards the top or towards the bottom or in the middle?
Of what?
The piece.
Oh, I would go towards the top so that you could use the other piece if you wanted, but you can stamp it right in the middle and die cut. It doesn't matter. It's just a scrap piece I sent for you to stamp your stockings on. So
I don't like it. It's too light. Me.
you can stamp it full strength then. And it could be that mine is a little bit darker because I might have inked it up. Maybe your pad, if you've used it a lot, needs inking up too. You always have to keep that in mind sometimes.
No, I didn't. I haven't used it at all.
Oh, yours might be a little bit lighter than mine. Like I said, I did just recently re-ink it. So
There, I like it better.
perfect. Yes.
All right, so there's that. All right.
Okay. Then you want to die cut them out with the stocking die. Looks like this. It should be in your die cut pack with your bundle. So you want to die cut 2 of them, or 3 or 4 if you want more than that. You don't have to put just 2 on there. You can put as many as you want.
I can't get this closed.
Okay, where's everybody at? Everybody with me?
I'm a little bit behind, but I'm catching up quick.
Okay. You're good.
Oh, I'm slow, but there we go. I wanted to get my ink closed so I don't end up with a mess.
Yes, been there, done that.
So
Okay,
you
so
put your little. I'm gonna put that right there.
So here's what your circle will look like once you have your stockings on, the white onto the evening evergreen, and then behind it, I just took a little piece of ribbon and you do a little fold over, and I put taped it on like that, and then I put dimensionals on. And you don't have to put that many dimensionals. I always just like to put extra. I don't like it to sag. It's just one of my things, but some people put a lot more than that and some people put less. And then this will be ready for your card front. And you kind of want to decide where you're going to lay it out so you can decide how you're going to put your little tag with the season's greetings on it. Are you going to tuck it underneath like I did there? Do you want to put it across the stockings here? Because if you want to put it like this, then you want to stamp it in the middle. If you know you're going to tuck it like this, like I did, you want to stamp it over to the right. So I'm going to ink up my season's greetings. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp it over to the right
Oh,
again,
little tiny, I see.
because I'm going to tuck it. And if you know where you're going to tuck it, you may have, if you already put your dimensionals on like I did, I was getting ahead of myself there. So I'm going to pull this one back up because I'm just going to put a little piece of tape right here where I'm going to tuck this underneath just like this. And then it's going to go right on top like this.
Now, what color did you use for the season's greetings?
I used the evening evergreen. I went with the darker to kind of bring in that color, since that's our layering color.
Okay.
And then you're going to put dimensionals behind only on the little portion that sticks out. If you're tucking it like this, like if you're going to end up laying it across here or putting it someplace else on the card, then you'd probably want to put dimensionals on the whole thing. But you could stamp your greeting in the soft succulent. I don't know if anybody's seen what the Stillaguamish River looks like right now, but man, it is high and flowing.
Oh, wow. We were by there last night, but it was dark, so I can't tell you, but I know that Duck Pond on 67th in front of the entrance to that housing, the group of houses up there.
Oh, Glen Eagle
Yeah. That is like, if that
overflowing.
went over the road, it wouldn't surprise me. I keep thinking that we should find another route.
I've seen that go over the road before from that pond there, but yeah, we have definitely had a lot of rain in the past few days.
Yes.
Yeah.
There.
But luckily it didn't flood. We've had it flood on the, where the bridge coming out to my house, the coming across the river there
Yeah.
at the soccer fields and stuff. We've had it flood so bad that we couldn't get home before.
Oh my.
This was several years ago, and it was right after they had built that new bridge. And Christopher was actually in college. He was down in Portland, but Joshua was still in school. And I left to go pick him up that day. And by the time we came back home, we couldn't get home.
So what did you do?
Well, my best friend lives in Arlington, out in Cisco Heights area. We went and stayed at her house, but we had a yellow lab named Rudy, and he was at home, and I had put a pot roast in the crock pot that day. So I called a friend of mine whose kids, they all went to school together. And I said, did you make it home before the road flooded? And she said, yeah. And I said, can you go break into our house and let our dog out to go potty and take the pot roast home with you and enjoy a good dinner? Because I said, we can't get home. So we told her where her husband came, found the ladder. We knew our bathroom window. We had always kept it cracked a little bit. And so he climbed, got up there. And of course, our dog, he's a lab. He didn't care. He just stood there and stared at him, wagged his tail, let somebody break into our house. But he was happy because he really had to go to the bathroom. He had been in the house all day that day then, because I had been gone.
Oh.
But I just said, just let him out, feed him. And I said, we're going to get home whenever we can. We actually ended up coming home like at 2 a.m. because Drew kept checking when the road was opening up, and we left her house only because we could have stayed there all night, but it was only because we wanted to get back home because, our dog was at home by himself. But yeah, that was, and when we went to try to come home, we stood there. There was so many people there standing on the bridge, like just watching the stuff float down the river because the river was so high. We saw a barbecue grill go floating down the river. We saw parts and pieces of people's decks. I mean, it was quite the flood that time, but yeah.
Oh man.
So anyway, And then don't forget to add your little bling. And I used the evening evergreen bling, but in your little packet of bling you got, you could use the soft succulent if you wanted to, but I liked the darker one on this card, but you could use either one. So then just add your little bling. Now, the nice thing, if you want to, what you can do, and I'm going to show you this real quick on it with the envelope, because you have a lot of paper in your packet. And since you have paper, why not use your paper? You can decorate. Well, don't forget to put your inside in. And of course, if you want to stamp something in the corner, you can. Or if you want to use a strip of the DSP like that, excuse me, that 1-inch piece we cut off, you could always put that on the bottom down here like that. But the other thing you can do is decorate your envelope. Now, because I cut off of this piece, I'm going to pull out a different color, which is okay. It doesn't have to be the same, but I'm going to pull out this solid color here. And this piece is a scrap, but all you would need if you want to decorate your envelope is if you cut it at about 2 1/4 by about 5 3/4, if you want to cut it down. Normally I just lay it down, but if you had like a 12 by 12 piece, you'd want to cut it down. And then all you want to do, and I'm going to use mono glue for this. You could use tape if you want, but I like using mono glue on this because you have a little bit of wiggle room to move it around. Put your glue down. Excuse me, I got like something stuck in my throat. Just line it up with the edge of the envelope. Press it down, flip it over, and then cut around it. And then you'll have a nice little decorated envelope that'd match your card. And like I said, you could use the same paper you used on the front. You can use a different piece. You can use a coordinating piece. But it's another way to decorate the card and envelope together. And then here would be our nice little pretty envelope. And that just add to it. So that would be that. Okay, is everybody done with project 1?
Yep.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, set that one aside and we will move on to project number 2. So that's this packet right here. Now this one is and when you pull it out, you're going to have, don't lose your little piece of Cherry Cobbler bling. You're going to have this little tiny piece right here of bling. So don't lose that when you empty your packet out. This one is a cute little gift card holder. So when you pull it out, here's where you can write your message. And then when you flip it over on the back side, you have a little area right here to tuck your gift card in. Right there. It's where you could tuck your gift card in. So what we're going to do, you're going to be cutting. Well, you have, now I sent everybody real quick. I'm going to go through parts and pieces. So for this inside piece, this is, you should have a piece of Cherry Cobbler that's 3 1/4 by 5. That's going to be this piece right here for your inside piece. And then what you have, because I sent you extra, you're going to have 2 pieces of basic white. That goes for the front and back of this right here, your inside of the card. Then I sent you both big enough pieces to die cut if you wanted to do both Cherry Cobbler stars or if you wanted to do both evening evergreen stars. I sent them big enough to cut both or either or, however you want to do your combination. So that's going to be these, and they should be approximately 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, but yours could be a little different. It could be off a little bit because when I was cutting these down, if there was a, my measurements, if they came out 1/4 inch bigger, I didn't cut it off because it doesn't matter when you're die cutting out of it, but you should have 2 of those. Then you should have 2 strips, 1/4 inch strips. That's this piece right here that goes on the front. And then you'll have your card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That's this piece right here because it's not a card that opens up because we have this piece that slides in. And then you have a scrap piece of Whisper Basic White, and that's for the stars again right here. Whoops, I froze for a minute. There we go, came back. That's for the detailed part of the stars. Okay, so what we're going to do first is let's make the front of the card. And these are all pieces of DSP, and normally you can do this fun, it's a certain kind of fun fold, and you can do it with a 6 by 12 piece of DSP, but because our paper was only 6 by 6, I came up with another way to do it. So you want to pick two coordinating colors of DSP to use for this. So pick that out first if you haven't done that already, which I didn't do it yet either. So I'm going to pick through here. And now remember, you're layering on top of the Cherry Cobbler when you do this. Not that that matters, but it's just so you know, if you don't like the look of Cherry Cobbler on top of Cherry Cobbler, you want to keep that in mind. But we have some nice colors that coordinate or that have other colors with it. So let's see, I think again, and my packet doesn't have everything in it because I've used so much out of this packet. I'm getting down to not as many colors. So I'm going to use this one for down here. And then I think I am going to use the stripes to be a little different, but we'll try it. Just looking at colors. Like I said, you have more choices because this was the packet that I also pulled paper out of when we did, because we used some of this paper for the Stampin' Bingo class when we did that. So I had pulled a lot out of it. Okay, so once you have your 2 colors picked, this is what you're going to cut. This main piece right here actually goes up to here. So you're going to cut one piece at 4 by 4 inches. And then these 2 pieces here are 1 1/2 by 4 inches. So 4 by 4 for this piece that's going to show down here. And then 1 1/2 by 4 for these 2 strips right here. We will need one more for back here, but I don't want to confuse everybody right now. So we'll do this piece at the end. Okay, is everybody with me? 4 by 4. And then 1 1/2 by 4. And just remember to always pay attention. If you have a pattern, you want to make sure you know which way you want your pattern to go on your paper. Like if it's stripes, do you want your stripes going this way or do you want your stripes going this way? So you just have to keep that in mind as you're cutting. So on mine, I want them to go this way. So I'm going to cut my 4 inches this way. And then 2 pieces at 1 1/2. Okay. There's those 2. Okay, is everybody with me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is, this is our pocket. So when we glue this piece down right here, this 4 by 4 piece, we only want to add adhesive. Now, if you're using tear and tape or, tape runner, you want to put it really close to the edge. I used mono glue because that way I could just put a little dab, and you're only going to go around 3 sides like this, up, down, like that. Because remember, this is going to go on like this. And this is going to need to slide in here. So if you put your tape too wide along here, you'll end up having to trim this down a little bit. Now, if you're not sure how far up, down you want to go on this, you can always add your striped piece first and then layer this on top. You can do it either way. Just remember this 4x4 piece. Don't glue the top.
Yeah.
Don't glue the top or you won't get your little slider in. So like I said, I used mono glue. You can use tape. You just have to make sure you stay really close to the edge. And I think my mono glue is about empty. And I just went down both sides, across the bottom, up the top, or up to the top. Don't go across the top side. And then I left my little 1/4 inch border. Sorry about the pounding.
It's all right.
Just like that. And then you're going to want to add one down here. And one up here. Now, I'm going to probably end up trimming mine down. We should have put our little piece on first, honestly. You should put the little piece on like this first. So if your big piece isn't glued all the way down, you can tuck it in underneath. Sorry about that. And that top piece, you can glue the whole thing. It's this just there for decoration. So I'm going to lift that up just a little bit like this. And do that. And then this piece will go right here. So this is what you'll have going on. Just like that. And then this piece, now you want to be careful if you're going to test it, if you're using glue, because you want your glue to dry. But see, I did good there. It's going to slide. Now, if you use tape, you'll be fine. Okay. Everybody got that part done?
Yep.
Yay.
The
Now,
second piece we're doing, does the second piece we just go ahead and do it? We don't have to do just the sides to create a pocket? Is that?
This piece right here you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one you can glue all the way around because it's going right on top of where you've already created the pocket. See, just like that. So you don't have to put that piece on if you don't want to. I just did it to kind of tie it all together.
I see. Okay.
And then what I did to like get rid of this little divide that you might have, you can either layer a piece of the Cherry Cobbler or the evening evergreen on top to kind of break that up if you want to. And they're cut too long, so you're going to want to trim it at 4 inches before you lay it down. Or you can trim it after you put it down if you're really good about getting your snips inside there. So I'm going to use a piece of evening evergreen on this one. And then I just put this in the center right here, just like that. And it just kind of breaks that up just a little bit. Okay, so there's that part. Now what we're going to do is die cut our stars. We're actually not even hardly doing any stamping on this one now that I just thought about it. So what I did is die cut. I took the big star and the little star and I die cut the big star in Cherry Cobbler and the little star in evening evergreen, and then both of the layers in the basic white. Now, if you, depending on what paper you picked, maybe you want your big star in Evening Evergreen and the little star in Cherry Cobbler. You get to pick. You just want to die cut one of each, or you can die cut more of each if you want to layer more stars on there. So you want to get all your little stars out. Okay, and then we're going to die cut I'm going to do mine just like I did before because of the way my paper is. I'm going to die cut the big one out of Cherry Cobbler. Now, if you're using, I'm just using my little mini here. If you're using your regular size machine, you can put your white and die cut at the same time, on at the same time. I just can't do that with the mini. But it should be skinny enough that you could die cut more than one at a time. So you cut your two solids out of the two solid colors. So there's that one. Done with that die. And then I'm going to do this one here out of the Evening Evergreen. There's that one. And then we'll cut the white ones at the same time. Okay. Up. Get out of the way. And these actually cut really nice, so they're easy to clean out. As you see, most of the parts and pieces got left on the cutting mat, which makes it easier to poke out.
Yeah.
Well, it's less cleaning on the poking part here, so. Okay, there's those. Now, move my dies out of the way so I don't lose them. Move that out of the way. I have this little container I keep on my desk when I'm poking parts out like this so I don't get them all over the floor. Okay. All right. Everybody got that part done?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, you guys were quicker than me. So then what we're going to do is layer these on top of each other. And if you have two-way glue, you can use that. If you have mono glue, you can, use that. I should have put, I wasn't even thinking about it because we have that sticker paper, which works great for detailed things like this. But I could have put that on the back of your sheets of paper and then would have been much easier. Wasn't thinking about it till just now. Unfortunately, we don't sell two-way glue anymore, which is a bummer. We keep trying to get them to bring it back, so. Maybe someday. Now, I always use my little silicone mat when I'm doing glue and things like this, because then you don't get glue on your paper. So if you don't have a silicone mat, that's something you should put on your wish list. Silicone mat. Because it works great. Once the glue dries, all you have to do is wash it off and you can reuse the mat over and over and over again. Okay. Then all we're going to do is layer these on top of each other. And you can use glue, tape, whatever you want. And then I painted them with Wink of Stella. And you can paint them before or after. I just paint them after I already have them layered. Then you don't have to be putting Wink of Stella where you don't really need it. Okay. Then you'll take your stars and you're going to add some dimensionals to the back. And then you're going to layer this right on top of here, just like however you want. And then you'll put that little tiny bling in the center. Okay. And somewhere I lost my little bling. Remember I told you guys not to lose your bling, but then I think I lost mine somewhere on my desk. Anyway, I'll find it. It'll show up. But put your little bling in the center right there because it looks lonely without it. I'll find it. Or I'll find another one. Okay. Everybody done with that part?
Yep.
So let's work on our slider now. So one of them is going to go on the front like this, and I stamped the wishing you a joyful Christmas and a happy new year, but you can stamp whatever you want. Before we attach these two white pieces, we want to attach this little pull tab. And that's what these two are for. You can either use red or green, or the Cherry Cobbler or the Evening Evergreen, whichever one you want, depending on what paper you used on your front of your card. And all we're going to do is cut this in half, this direction. And then what we do is I lined it up right here at that little circle point. So you want to add some either monoglue or adhesive, put it down on the front. You just kind of eyeball it in the middle, and then you just flip it over and do the same thing on the back. And that makes your little pull tab. So cut it in half. Line it up like that, flip it over and add your other one. Now you have a little pull tab. Okay, so once you have that done, oh, you know what? I just messed you guys up completely. It actually goes So your little pull tab actually goes on the Cherry Cobbler. But I'm trying to figure out how we can make it work.
Oh, I put it on the Cherry Cobbler.
Oh, good for you. Thank you for not listening. Good for you. You didn't listen to me. That's good. Yes, it goes on the Cherry Cobbler. I don't know what I was thinking putting it on the white, but I'm going to make it work anyway. So Cheryl, if you put yours on the white, you can still make it work.
No, I didn't, so don't worry about it.
Woohoo! See, I'm the only one that messed up then. Look at that.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
So what you're going to do is it will be on the Cherry Cobbler because I'm not going to finish this piece. I'm going to do it correctly. So then you want to take your basic white and you're going to stamp your greeting on that and layer it on top of where you put that pull tab. Don't know what I was thinking there. And I glued it, so I'm not going to be able to pull that one off. So I'm not going to worry about that. And then on the back side, what we're going to do is cut a piece of DSP, and you can use coordinating colors from what you picked here, and you're going to cut it at 1.5, and you're going to have the full 6 inches. So if you have a scrap sitting there from when you cut before, which like I have this one right here, so I'm just going to use that one, or I could use the red too, either one. But this is a little wide. If you want it to be that wide, you can, because this is going to be your little pocket you're going to make for your gift card holder. But I cut it down to be 1.5 inches. I didn't want it quite this wide that was left over. And then what you're going to do is just line it up at the bottom of this piece of basic white. And you don't, I didn't even tape. Oh, I guess I did. You're going to run a piece like just a little bit of glue or tape along the bottom of this piece right here, but not the top, because then you'll close your gift card holder. And then all I did is folded this over. I didn't score anything, put a piece of tape here, put a piece of tape here, and close it up. Now you don't have to glue this little part, but your gift card holder or your gift card could fall out then. It's the only reason you need to do something along right here on the bottom. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here. And I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to line it up at the bottom and just kind of center it so you have, you know, like equal parts on each end. Flip it over. Put a piece of adhesive there. There. Fold it over. And it's okay if it'll just barely meet, but nobody's going to see it because you're going to put it down on top of the piece of Cherry Cobbler anyway. And then you have your little holder right here. And then this goes on the back side of here. So this would be like this. If you did it correctly and didn't put your tabs in the wrong spot like I did. And it's going to look just like this one. Here's the correct one. So here's your front. You can write your message here. Here's the back, the little gift card holder here. And if all goes well, it should slide right inside here. Just like that. Woohoo! Everybody get it?
Yep.
Yay. Amanda, you got it?
I got it.
Yay. Okay. And don't forget your bling like I did and lose it. Anyway. All right. Get these scraps out of the way. Now we will move on to project number 3. Okay, project number 3. Again, we're going to be die cutting the 2 big stars. You have bling in there again. Don't lose it like I did. You have this piece right here, which I actually trimmed. If you see, this is a different shape, but it actually comes from this. So I trimmed off these two little half circles like I cut across right here, because I didn't want it that big on here. But if you like it that way, you certainly can keep it that way. So we're going to die cut out of the center of this piece for the solid star, and then out of this evening evergreen vellum, textured vellum we have, that's what's on top of the layer. This is a really simple card. And then you'll pick a piece of DSP to cut for the inside here. When I originally made it, I used the rectangle dies and was die cutting, but then I thought, well, I can't do that for you guys because you get to pick your own DSP. I would have had to pick for you. So I ended up just cutting. So for this one, we're just going to cut, and we'll cut a piece of DSP that's going to be 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So you want to pick a piece of DSP again. 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Let's see which one this time. I like that solid green on there, honestly. So I think I'm going to go with that again. And I'm going to cut, measure twice, cut once, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. Now remember, if you have a pattern that goes in a specific direction, you want to make sure you pay attention to that. The paper I'm using doesn't really matter. 4 1/2. So let's just go 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. There's that cut. And make sure you're putting all your little scraps and pieces that you have left from cutting, because we are going to use them on a card at the end. So that's going to go inside there. But do not glue that down yet, because we are going to die cut the stars. We're going to die cut the big star out of the gold, the layering star on top out of the evening evergreen vellum paper. So I'm going to bring this back in, get my big stars back out. And if you like the look of the little stars better, you could use the little stars instead. Just make sure when you die cut the big star, you kind of have it right in the center. Don't go too far one direction, or when you put your layer on top, you're going to see that hole. Now, something to also keep in mind, sometimes when you die cut the foil paper, if your plate has been used a lot, like mine has, sometimes you'll get marks on it from that. And the easiest way to prevent that is to like just put a piece of printer paper or something on top. So like here, I have a piece of just laying right here. All I'm going to do is lay that. Well, it's a little wide. Hang on, I'm going to grab something really quick.
You okay?
Yep, just sneezing.
Okay.
So all I do before I put my top plate on, scoot this up here, is I just lay a piece of like printer paper, anything really thin, because then it will still run through, and I lay it on top of that, and that will help prevent getting marks on your foil paper from your plates. Yeah, sometimes what I end up doing if I forget to do this little step, and sometimes you still see little tiny marks from it, you can always just then run this through and emboss it with whatever your favorite embossing, you know, like the subtle one that we used earlier, or if you have the subtle one expired. The Tasteful Textile one is the one we've been using today. And if you have the subtle one from before, those are great ones just to add a little bit of texture to it. And then we're going to die cut the layer with this. Okay. All right. Now let's poke these out. I don't know about at your guys' house, but at least today, right now, it's not raining here.
No, it's not raining here.
At least we're getting a little bit of a reprieve for right
Oh
now.
man, I tell you, it has just been. I had to take my car in for an oil change, and originally, because we go to Seattle, originally I was going to have a borrowed car overnight. Well, it turns out they got the car done, so I made a trip, 2 round trips into Seattle, and I was
my
ready.
gosh. Oh, you must have to take it to the dealership. Is that why you go to Seattle?
No, we have a really good car repair group down in, we've been with them for years.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
I don't want to they keep track of the cars, and I'm real comfortable with them. No, I won't go to a dealership
I don't
because
blame you.
We had a recall on one of our cars, and we had to take it to the dealership, and we had just been on a long trip, and we'd taken the van in for, when we came back, we had taken it into our shop, and they had gone over it and done an oil change and everything, and we take it to the dealership, and they said, oh, you need brakes, and you need this, and you need that, and we're going, no, we just had it in, it's been fine. And I'm just going, I'm not going to darken your doorstep again.
Yeah. That's too bad too, that they have to take that route sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then again, you're going to use your two-way glue or mono glue to glue your little star down. And I'm using my silicone mat again. I love my little silicone mat. I use it all the time. Glue that down. And then all we're going to do is layer this on here. Then we're going, so on my card base, I did emboss with the Tasteful Textile embossing folder on the front side, on the front portion of it. If you don't have that one, like I said, you could use whatever your favorite is, or you can use it, blah, 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 can't even talk. You can leave it blank if you want. So then what we're going to do with this little piece. Now I stamped the Noel, which I forgot to get that one out, but you can stamp whatever you want. That'll fit in that little spot, unless you want to use something else. I stamped it with Versamark and embossed with the gold embossing powder. Just like that. Easy peasy. Put the lid back on embossing powder. Don't want to spill that one. There we go. Now you're going to take your scissors, if you don't like it full size, and I just cut it straight across, and you can use your paper trimmer if you don't think you can cut straight. And I just cut it off just like this. And you end up with that. And now what we're going to do is assemble. So my little star, one corner is popping up on me. Okay, I got it down. We'll layer our DSP on top of our gold paper. And layer the gold on top of our card base. And then I added dimensionals on the back of the star. Can't believe Thanksgiving's almost here.
Yeah.
Anything exciting going on for Thanksgiving?
We're going to dinner in Tacoma.
Going out to dinner or to somebody's house?
No, out to dinner.
Oh, you go out? Where are you going out?
The Cliff House.
Oh. Then you just add your phrase. Now, if you want to pop up your phrase with dimensionals, you can. I kept it flat. Just tucked it right here. And then take your 3 bling. And I put the big one in the middle of the star, and then one on each side. Sorry, it's really pounding right now. Just like that. And there's that card. Cooper, you can come in, but you're not leaving the door open. In or out? Sorry about that. Cooper came barging his way in.
Oh, Cooper.
Okay. And again, remember all your envelopes, because we're using DSP on almost every project, I think. And if you want, you can always go back and decorate all your envelopes with DSP. And you can always take your piece of basic white that goes on the inside, and you can always add another strip to that too if you want somewhere, or you could stamp like the star on the inside or anything like that. Okay, everybody ready for project number 4?
Woof.
Amanda, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. So this one, we're only going to make one, but you have the supplies to make 2 cards, because the way this one works is when you cut this in half. One of my little blings fell off. When you cut the piece of DSP in half, you get enough to make 2 cards, but we're only going to actually make 1 in the video, and then you can go back and make it. Unless you're really fast with it, then you can make both. I don't care. I mean, it's not like they take that long to make. So what you have is, you actually have, because you're making 2 cards, so everything's doubled, but you have 2 pieces of basic white. One is for the inside and one is for this piece on the outside here, which I did emboss again with that Tasteful Textile embossing folder. That's kind of my go-to embossing folder right now. And that will be the layer that goes on your card base. So if you have that embossing folder, you can emboss it. If you don't have to, or you could pick any embossing folder you have that you like. So real quick, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to emboss this real quick over here. My little mini machine doesn't emboss big embossing folders, so. And then what you want to do is pick out a piece of DSP. And let's see what color this time. I'll use this one this time. And we are going to cut, I have to remember what size I cut this, and I don't have the directions pulled up.
It's 4x4.
4x4. I was thinking that, and then I kept thinking, okay, did I go to 3 3/4 by 3 3/4? But thank you. So you're going to cut a piece of DSP at 4x4. And you do want to pay attention if you have a pattern, so that, because you don't want your pattern to go this way. So just cut it at the 4x4 first. And then at the same time, so now all you're going to do, and what I did is, like, I came in about 1 inch, and you can use a little ruler or whatever, however you want, 1 inch from this end. So let me go up like this. So you're going to have 1 inch here, and then you're going to turn this so you have about 1 inch at the bottom. And that's what makes these little 2 areas right here. So that's your inch, and then you have the long. Now you could do 1.5 inches. There is no right or wrong way to cut this. This is just how I did it. Like, if you wanted this piece to be a little bit longer, you certainly could do that. And I don't really usually measure. I just kind of eyeball it. But if you want, you just lay your little ruler and say, oh yeah, that's close enough. Oh yeah, that's close enough. And then you just cut. And you have these 2 pieces right here that are going to make, and like mine are going to end up to be upside down because of how I did it. Well, they're going to go this way. What I forgot, see, a mistake again. Gosh, I'm just into mistakes today. You
Never a
want
mistake.
the side you want up to be down when you're cutting. So here, I'm gonna cut another piece and show you so that I can do it correctly. I'm gonna back it up here. And we'll use those scraps. I'm going to show you how we're going to use those scraps at the end. No paper is going to go to waste. 4x4. And again, we're going to, like, okay, approximately 1 inch there, approximately 1 inch there. Now, see what I almost did the same thing again. I'm going to turn it over because we want this to be the downside and the other side to be the front. Inch. Now, when I flip it over, it's going to go on just like this.
Okay.
That makes sense now? Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you're cutting the 4x4 to make your little triangle shape here, you want the side you want up to be down when you cut. And then you'll have two pieces. Now, if you don't like the other ones, I could still use these. I just wanted to make sure I showed you how to do it correctly, because I could use these on a card still. And I could have used them this way. I could put it going on this side too, if you want. For me, I like putting it towards the left. That's just how I make them, but you could still do it. I could have done it this way and put it over here. Sorry about the pounding. About ready to tell Christopher he needs to take a break.
Yeah.
All ready to say, okay, it's your lunchtime. Go take a break.
Well, it's almost 11:30. It could be lunchtime.
It might be pretty soon. Okay, so does that make sense? So really, I still could use this on if I want it to go this side. It doesn't, there is no right or wrong to what side you put it on. So it is still usable. It's not going to be wasted. So then all you're going to do is attach your DSP right here in the corner. Now, if you wanted to leave a little bit of your white hanging out there, you certainly can. There's no reason why you can't. Like this time, I'm going to leave just a little like 1/4 inch there just to give it a little something different. Okay. That part's done. And then you can go ahead and layer it on top of your Cherry Cobbler card base at the same time. Then it's done and out of the way. Okay, there's that. Now we're going to stamp on our basic white circle, and I stamped It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year, and I stamped that in Evening Evergreen. And then I pulled the little holly piece and stamped it on each corner. Here's our sample in Cherry Cobbler. So it's going to look just like that. And then I just put 2 little blings of the Evening Evergreen bling on the corners of the holly. So we'll stamp the phrase, and you could use a different phrase. You could do it different color. You can do it however you want. There's that. Cherry Cobbler's a little light. Let me see how this one turns out. That one's better. I'm actually going to flip mine over and stamp it again. The one Cherry Cobbler holly was just a little light. Let's try this again. Much better. I just stamped both of mine at the same time since they were sitting here. And then all you're going to do is layer these on top and then pop it up with dimensionals. Okay. Just like that. And then from your packet of bling that you got, you can add a couple of I use the evening evergreen. If you pick paper that has more of the soft succulent in it with it, you could use that color instead, just like that. I just thought it was a great way to use, one piece of DSP that you're cutting, and then you get your little angled pieces.
Yeah.
Cute, fast card, easy way to use DSP. Okay. I'll finish the other ones later. All right. Just give me a minute. I want to clean my stamps here really quick, just so I don't drop something in them. That one. Okay. Project number 5. Now this one is a gift card holder, and I'm going to show you 3 different ones that I did different papers with, but it's made from an envelope. Hang on, I have ink on my finger and I don't want to get it on my card, so. All right. So this is what it looks like. So you can tie your ribbon right here, but when it opens up, you have the inside where you can put your phrase, and then this side of the envelope is where you have your pull tab for the gift card holder. And then this tucks right back down in here like this. So what you have in your packet, and here's the other 2 I made. So here's one with this paper. I kind of wanted to show you different paper designs. Here was the one I made first, and then I switched it up to be like this. So the first one I had a slide off like this, but I kind of liked the ribbon myself. And then I ended up putting DSP all the way down. If you wanted just a strip, you could do it that way, but I didn't like this one as well. And then I used the same punch as we had used before for the pull tab, but I liked using this punch instead. So you have options there if you really want to do it like with a slider like this. But like I said, I ended up coming up with another way to do it with the ribbon, which I liked that better. So what you have in your packet, you have an envelope. You have, this is your 2-inch piece that's going to be for the gift card slider. Then you have 3 pieces of Cherry Cobbler, and that's going to be for the front and the 2 insides. And then you have 1 piece of basic white that is 2 5/8 by 4 1/8, and that's going to go right here on the inside. It's going to layer on top of one of these. And it's cut the wrong size, so we'll have to trim it down. Somewhere I messed up there, but that's okay. We'll trim that down. But the smaller white piece is for your inside. The bigger white piece is for die cutting the stars on the outside. Now, if you want to use the stockings as your decoration on the front, you could. You don't have to do the stars on the front because you have an option there. I just like the stars better myself. But if you like the stockings, you could do the stockings instead. You have plenty of paper. That's what the other scraps are for. Again, I gave you Cherry Cobbler and Evening Evergreen so that you could die cut either or both, however you want to on the front. So what you want to pick is your piece of DSP. And you're going to need 2 pieces, and then we're going to have one that's going to wrap around here to make this. So we need 2 pieces of DSP that are going to be 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. So let's see, I will use, which one? I think I'll use, I'm going to use the green again. I really like this paper out of this pack. It's got to be one of my favorites. So 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. 3 7/8. And so I need 2 at 2 3/8. So 2 3/8. Sorry, I always get confused on this particular cutting board for some reason when I get to my 3/8 marks. Okay, right there, yep. Our Stampin' Trimmer goes down to the 16th mark, so it's always a little bit more confusing sometimes, for me anyway. Okay. Oops. Didn't quite get that one cut. All right. And then we'll cut the piece for the gift card holder in a minute. I gotta trim this up. I have some okay. For some reason, it did not want to cut that. I'm gonna have to trim that up. Okay, so what we're gonna do is first, let's just layer 2 pieces of the DSP on top of our Cherry Cobbler and get that part out of the way. They'll just go on just like this. I got to trim this one up. I think I need a new blade in my trimmer here. There we go. Jaggedy on the back, but nobody's going to see the back. Okay. Once you have that part done, we're going to take our envelope and we're going to score it in half. Or you could fold it in half. You don't have to score it.
You're scoring the envelope?
Yes, because this is the envelope out here, right? This is an envelope. This outside white piece is actually the envelope.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're going to score the envelope in half or fold it in half. You could do it either way. If you don't, I mean, you don't have to get your scoreboard out, because you could fold it just like this, fold it right in half. And then what you're going to do, when you use your bone fold, you want to get a good crease here, because I'm going to show you what you're going to do. So then you're going to open it back up. And we're going to take it and we're going to cut. So here's your little flap that normally you glue down. We're going to take this and we're going to cut at that score line just down to where it folds. So now you have these 2 little flaps. Now remember, on our gift card holder, this portion over here is the holder. This portion is where we stamped our little phrase. So what we're going to do is glue the left side down and the right side's going to get glued down, but it's going to get tucked inside. If you want, you could just lick it and glue it down like this. What I did is I actually trimmed this off a little bit because I wanted it shorter, and I'm going to show you the difference. Like, here was the original one. Well, you can't see it because I covered it up with this strip. This particular one here, I'm going to show you. I cut so I didn't have so much of that flap coming way down further. So if you want, you can cut some of that flap off. And it doesn't matter how much. I just didn't want as much sticking out. Like I put it in and I cut off probably, it's probably about 1 inch is what I cut off. I just didn't want as much there. Do you have to do this part? No. Because like you can use this, you could just lick it and glue it and be done with it. But I just wanted less bulk underneath there. So what I did then is just took my adhesive, put it on the edge. Remember the left side, you're closing up. The right side, you're going to tuck inside like this. And I did put adhesive on the left side too. And I'm just going to use a little bit of glue this time, just so I can tuck it in without it getting sticky. Like I said, you don't have to trim off that piece. You're going to make sure you open your envelope up. I just liked it shorter. Tuck it down on the inside, because this is where your gift card holder is going to be, right here on this side. So there's this part. Now, you can take one of these that you already put your DSP on, and it's going to go right here on top. What you don't want to do is glue it down right here. Remember, this is where this goes in. So what I did is I glued only from right here. So you can either add your adhesive to this, or you just have to keep in mind where you want to stop if you're adding it to here. Like I kind of just eyeballed it, flipped it over, put a piece of adhesive right there, and then just went around. And I'm pretty sure that's gonna, and you could use glue or tape, either one. And you're just gonna lay this down on top just like this. And now you should have, as long as you didn't close it, you have your little opening for your gift card holder right here. And this is where this is going to slide in just like that. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Then on this side over here, we are going to take the other piece of white, which mine's the wrong size. I'm not sure if your guys's are the wrong size. You need to make sure this piece of basic white is going to be the same piece as the DSP was. So it should be 2 3/8 by 3 7/8. You just want to, for some reason it's cut a little big, not by much, but it's 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. So somewhere I got off. So you want it to be 2 3/8 by, what did I say?
I thought you said 5 7/8 or something.
2 3/8 by 4 7/8. And
Well, I got this.
Go ahead.
I see you got this. I got the 7/8 right.
You did. And I'm going to assume it's correct in my directions, but you know, 2 3/8. Okay, then you're going to stamp your phrase, and I stamped, it's the most wonderful time of the year on the inside, but you could stamp whatever you want on the inside. I stamped with Cherry Cobbler. Let's see, I'm going to stamp "May your days be merry and bright" this time. I'm going to switch it up. Okay. You're going to layer that on top of here, and then we're going to layer it over here on the left-hand side of the card. And it's going to go right here like this. Okay, so now we have the inside done. So now for the front, what we're going to do, because now we have this piece already ready to go on, but before you put this on, you want to attach your ribbon around the outside. So you want to get a piece of your evening evergreen ribbon, and you want to just lay it out, wrap it around the whole thing. And if you want to tie a bow, you need to make sure you leave enough for a bow. Like this particular one, I can't tie a bow because I cut it too short. So I just do basically the half knot. The other one I cut long enough. This one is long enough to tie a bow. So you have to decide what you want to do there. And then cut your piece of ribbon. And what I did to hold it in place, I kind of just plopped it here in the center, and then I just use a little glue dot to hold it down on the front side, because you're going to cover it up with when you put your layer on. So I just put it here, put a little glue dot there, and called it good. And then it just like this. Now I didn't bother gluing this down on the back. If you wanted to, you could, but this is really sheer, so you're going to see what's behind there with it. So I just kept it like that. And then we're just going to attach this to the front just like that. Add that right there. Okay, then you will die cut again your stars, or like I said, you could stamp the stocking on your white and die cut your stars and do the same kind of layering we did with stars. And you could, like this one I did all evening evergreen, because I felt like with the paper I used there that worked. The first one I did all with Cherry Cobbler. So you could do it any way you want with whichever combination, depending on what paper you used. So you want to die cut your stars. Step those out again. Okay. I'm going to do my two white ones first here. How you guys doing?
Okay.
Doing good.
There's that. And then I'm going to do, let's see what paper. This one out of the evening evergreen, and I'll do the big one out of the Cherry Cobbler again. I just thought this was a cute gift card holder that you can make with the envelopes.
It is. It's different. I've never seen one like that before. Get my die cut to go.
Well, 'tis the season for gift card holders, so I thought it was a good time to throw a couple in there. Anybody started Christmas shopping yet?
Almost done.
Woohoo, good for you.
Oh, yeah, I've done some.
I've done some, but I'm not anywhere near done, but I need to get more done just to be done because, you know, they keep telling us nothing's going to be available if we wait too long.
Right.
But I'm not sure if that's true or if that's just to scare us all. I don't know.
We only got 42 days, so you better do something.
42 days, that's it?
That's
Dang.
it. That's it.
God. Yeah, it'll be here before we know it. Okay, let's see. Of course, then we're gonna layer our stars again, or if you did the stockings, you wouldn't have to be layering anything. But well, sounds like Russell, I don't know if you guys watch the Seahawks or not, but it sounds like Russell Wilson's going to be back tomorrow from his broken finger.
That's not going to be fun to play with.
Well, no, it's healed. His finger's all healed and he'll be back. He's been out for the last several weeks because he broke one of his fingers.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know, boy, I wouldn't want to be.
Yeah, I kind of wonder that too. I know what you're saying. It's very quickly that he's coming back, I think, but you know what? I'm sure he's got all the best doctors and whatnot, but yeah. Because Joshua, my youngest son, broke his finger when he was in high school playing dodgeball at school, of all ways to break a finger. But I thought he was in his little splint thing. I mean, he didn't have the injury even that Russell did. He just broke his finger, but he was playing guitar at the time and piano, but not for not for a few weeks. He wasn't. I want to say I thought his was like 6 weeks before they let him take his splint off. What they did is had a splint on his finger. Russell had his bandaged up a little more, but I think he had like surgery or something done to his. But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to be back tomorrow. That's what I heard. So I hope he doesn't come back with the hesitations of to be careful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when you attach this to the front, you're just going to use dimensionals. originals. And then as soon as we're done with this, we will do the slider for the inside. And then the inside of the star, you'll want to put bling. Here's our front. I'm going to add an evening evergreen in the center there. Okay, so there's that part. Now, everybody with me, ready to do the gift card slider?
Yep.
Okay, so you want to cut a piece of DSP that's 1 7/8, and you can go 2 inches if you want to make it easier, but then you won't have any kind of little gap or little layer of being able to see that cherry cobbler underneath, but you can go 2 inches. And you do need to have a gift card or a credit card or something handy, because a gift card or credit card is a little bit wider than 2 inches. Our punches only go up to 2 inches. So this is cut at 2 inches. So what you have to do is put your gift card in there. You go up with that, where that 2-inch fold is, fold it up. And then we're going to wrap this piece of 1 7/8 by 6 inches around it, and then just glue it on the back. And that's what makes the gift card holder, because it makes it wide enough for this to slide in and out. If you don't have this in there, you're going to end up making it too small and it won't fit. And ask me how I know, because I didn't do that the first time.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't fit. And then I figured it out. So you do need something that's as wide, or even if you have a piece of paper, just make sure it's 2 1/8 inches wide, because that will work too. If you don't have a card handy, just cut a piece of paper 2 1/8 inches wide and put that in there. So you want to cut, you should have a strip off of your DSP that you cut, and you want to cut it at 1 7/8. You could cut it. You don't even have to have it that wide if you don't want to. Like if you have one that's 1 3/4 or even 1 inch, if you wanted, that works too. And then all you're going to do is slide your gift card in, and you're going to lay this on top of here. And then all I did is I folded over. You're going to add tape here and here, and then you're just going to fold it over just like this. Now, it doesn't have to be the 6 inches, because really you don't need all that back there. It just, if you want to cut some off because you want to save the paper, you can, but you don't have to if you don't want to make that cut. I didn't even add any adhesive to the front because you don't really need to, but you could if you wanted to, if you're afraid it might like bulk up or something, but you don't have to. So that's all you're going to do. Just make sure you have that gift card laying in there. Add your adhesive here and here. Fold it around just like that. And on the directions, I might have put that this piece didn't need to be the 6 inches. I don't remember, but I was just saving from another cut right now. And then there you have your gift card holder, as long as you didn't glue it down too tight. You do have to be careful so you don't pull it too tight. Mine coming back out was a little tight, but it does fit. And if it's too tight, all you have to do is back it away just a little bit. You can loosen your tape back up and then just back it up just a little bit to give yourself a little bit more room there. And now it's much easier. I pulled it a little too tight at first. So there you go. That's that part. And then all I did for the pull is I just cut a little piece of ribbon, folded it in half and did that little half slip knot. So you fold your ribbon in half, stick it through the hole, take your tails, go up in between the center, and there's your little pull. And then you can trim your tails off a little bit so that they're not too long. And then there's your gift card holder part. And then this will slide right down in here as long as you didn't glue it closed, just like that. And then you can tie it up. Tie it closed. You could tie your knot, your bow, however long you kept your ribbon. Let's see if I can tie a bow now. Tying bows is not my thing, so I don't usually tie them, and I'm not going to this time either. And if I don't tie a bow, I would trim these off so they would be a little bit shorter. So this one goes in here. And that's it. What do you think?
Cool.
I like it. That's neat.
And then, like I said, if you didn't want to do the ribbon, you can always do it as a slider option like this too. And this is just I think about 1.5 inch wide is all I did. And it's about 6 inches, or you can probably go 5 3/4. You don't even have to go that long, or 5.5 even, I think. And I actually closed it in the front because then you can cover it up and you don't see your seam in the back, because then you could cover it up with your decoration or however you wanted. So if you wanted to do it as a slider, you could do it that way too. So there's that one. Okay. One more coming here, and then actually we have 2 more left. So this one is a cute little bag. And you're going to pick 2 pieces of, I'm just showing you 2 different examples. We're going to make one like this, but I wanted to show you like some of the papers when you flip down this 1/4 inch strip. That's about 3/4. It doesn't coordinate quite right, or the pattern might be going the wrong direction. So I wanted to show you if we don't do this little score line here, all it does is make the box taller, like this one is. So see, this one does not have that fold down. And that's because I didn't do that, because when you do it, the inside of it, the pattern would be going the wrong direction. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So you want to pick 2 pieces of 6 by 6 paper. So let's see here. I'm kind of running out of patterns that I haven't used or that are already, or like don't coordinate quite right. Okay, I'll do this one. I'll do the trees this time. Now, what we're going to do, and I have my samples here. So if you want it to be like this, to fold down that 1/4 inch or 3/4, sorry, you're going to score like this. You're going to score, each piece is going to be exactly the same. And here's my little, and I have a picture on the directions too. So you're going to go 3 sides are going to be at 1.5. And then that top side is at 3/4 inch. So if you're working with paper that has a pattern like this piece I've pulled out, I want to make sure my 3/4 inch is up here. And then 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, because I want to make sure my trees aren't going upside down.
Well, now I don't have gift bags. I have a thing that looks like a little card.
Right, you're going to make the gift bag and you have a little card that's on the inside. So we're making the gift bag out of 2 pieces of 6 by 6 DSP. You have to pick what DSP you want to use.
Oh, okay. I got it. Hello.
You got it now? Okay. So you pick your 2 pieces of DSP. And remember, if it has a pattern, you have to make sure you follow the score line completely right, so that when you fold this over, you don't want to do this 1/2 inch over here, because then your trees would be going sideways. You want to make sure, if your paper has a pattern, that you're keeping it in the right direction. So if it has a pattern, you want your pattern to go up and down vertically, and you're going to score 1.5. You're going to flip it, score 1.5, 1.5, and then that last one will be at the 3/4, because that would be what you would fold down. Now, if you don't want to fold it down, don't do that score line. You'll just have a taller box. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. Yeah, 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to go 1.5, 1.5, half, and 3/4. Okay, so we're all scored. Now, what you want to do is burnish your score lines, and depending on what paper you used, it might be hard to see them. You want to go and burnish all your score lines. And then that 3/4 inch one, that one's going to go the opposite way, because it's going to fold down this way. Like this. So that one's going to go like this. Okay, so there's one side. Now, once you have that part done, so here's what the outside of our box would look like, with the score lines are 3/4 inch up here at the top. This is the bottom. Now you're going to take, and we're going to cut away on one of them. So it's going to look like this. We're going to cut these 2 little outside squares away. It'll look like this one does right here. Here's my sample piece. Cut those away. On the other piece, you're going to cut, so you have 2 slits like this. So you're going to cut here on the horizontal line, and just cut into that score line, that 2 inch or 1.5 inch score line right there. So you're going to end up with 2 flaps just like that. Everybody with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to cut those squares away. And remember, depending on your paper, it might be hard to see where you need to cut. So there's that one cut, and then this one, we cut our flap. Okay, so now we have our 2 pieces. In your little packet here, you have a piece of really sturdy, it's the cardboard that our DSP comes in. And what I did is, let's get these out of the way. I glued this down to here, and all it does is helps. You don't have to put this piece in, because clearly you can't fit too much in here to make it that heavy. But if you want to make the bag a little bit sturdier, you can glue it down there, just like on top of this flap, because then what we're going to do is put this on top of here, and you're not going to see that little part. Just helps make the bag so that if you put, I don't know, a bottle of hand sanitizer or something like that inside there, it's not going to like give out on you. And then what you're going to do is glue this down on top of here, just like this. Before I do that, I just want to double check to make sure where I'm at. Yes, that's what we're going to do. Glue that down on top of that. You know, I've made these bags hundreds of times, but every time I do it, I always have to double check what I'm doing. Okay. And once you have that down, you kind of going to get the idea now. These are going to go in like this. Your flaps are going to go to here. This is going to go just like this. And there's your little bag. Now, what I do is I glue these little flaps down to the inside right here, just like that. And then I glue, a lot of people will glue it on top, just like this. I glue it so that you can tuck this underneath right here, but you don't have to do it that way. It's a little bit more fiddly, but then you don't, I don't know. I just think it looks better myself to tuck it inside, but you don't have to do it that way. You can glue it right on top just like that. Doesn't matter. That's a preference on your end. So we're going to take our flaps. I just fold them in just like this. And I add my adhesive to, I use glue when I make 3D items like this, because I feel like you get a little bit extra wiggle room trying to put it together than if you were using adhesive, but you can use whatever your favorite, you know, adhesive is. Just line it up to the edge. Glue that one down. Flip to the other side and do the same thing. Line it up to the edge. And I just hold it for just a few seconds just to give your glue a chance to dry. And then again, you're going to do the same thing. And like I said, I tuck mine inside here. Just like that, but it does take a little bit more fiddling to do that. Some people don't like to do it that way. Just a preference of two different ways to do it. I do one side first, and then I go back and do the other side. I just tuck it in just like that and slide it right in. Now, if you have a little bit of a hangover right here, or overhang, not a hangover, overhang right there. I haven't had a hangover for a long time. I just go, and that's just because when you trim those little squares off, you probably didn't cut, you know, exactly straight. I just go and trim that off right there. Off the bottom, just like that. And then we're going to do the other side the exact same way. And again, I'm just going to lift this up, tuck it underneath, just like that. And what you can do is use your bone folder to go on the inside and kind of push these down a little bit. And again, if you have a little bit of a flap hanging over, just trim it off. Now, if you have this, depending on how you did it, if you did it the way I do it, tuck it in, you may end up with this little flippy thing, your tab hanging out here. All you have to do is put a little glue dot there. If you just did it on top of it, you won't have that problem. I just put a glue dot right there and call it good. Okay, so there's our little bag. Cute, huh?
Yep.
Now, you just want to punch holes with whatever size hole punch you have. Just keep in mind with the ribbon we're using, it's really thin. So, and I used a smaller hole punch, but I'm going to try using a smaller one this time. I don't even know what size it is. It's hole punch that I've had for years. But I had to like tie 2 or 3 knots on the inside so it wouldn't pull through, because the first time I tied a knot, it pulled right through because it was so thin. So keep that in mind. And I don't measure, I just kind of come down about a halfway and come in about a ½ inch and line it up to the other side too. I mean, if you want to measure, you can. I don't. I just guess it. And then you're just going to take about, I think I did about, here, let me see. I'll tell you about how long my ribbon was. Probably about 6.5, 7 inches of ribbon. But honestly, I don't cut it. I feed it through one end, tie my knots, and then I feed it through the other end, and then I tie it so I can kind of get a feel for how long I want it to be. Because you don't want it to be too long, but you also don't want it to be too short. Like I said, I tied a double knot in it to make it thick enough to not pull through that hole. But if you're using a smaller hole punch, you won't have that problem.
That's just a regular hole punch you get from the Office Depot or something like that.
Yep. We used to sell them years ago, but we haven't sold them for so long that, yeah. And mine aren't even the Stampin' Up! Ones, because I wasn't a demonstrator even when they had them, but I know we used to sell them. But yeah, mine are, I just have a whole bunch of different sizes from, like you said, Office Depot or whatever.
Okay.
And I trim off this little tail that always ends up hanging up right there.
He must be taking lunch. The pounding's quiet.
He must be. I was thinking the same thing a few minutes ago. I thought, oh, reprieve. I didn't know that's what he was working on today. I thought he was going to be working in the big house today.
How much longer are you guys going to be?
Oh.
Forever?
Well, huh?
Forever?
Some days it seems like that. No, it is getting closer. It's just he's been out of town for work. He came home on Tuesday and has to leave again this next Tuesday, but he'll be back the following Sunday, and then he'll be home for a while. But yeah, his job is, oh no, he's not done. I hear the saw. I don't know, probably a few more months. Well, they won't be moving at least for a few more months. But then once they move out of the little house, then we still have stuff to do in there before we'll be moving in. So on our end, it'll be 6 more months probably for us, probably. I'm just guessing, but right now in the big house, so their kitchen cabinets are in, their countertops are on. The guy, our sheetrock patcher, he's patching all the stuff in the upstairs, like where they redid stuff in the master bathroom, and changed out just little patches here and there. So he's going to finish up. We were hoping he would have been done before the weekend so that then they could have put the coat of primer on before he textured, but he didn't get everything done. So, but I know he and Drew are going to hang the hood fan. Drew's working today. Otherwise they'd be working in the big house, but Drew had to work today. But I know they got to hang the hood fan, and there's a bunch of stuff that we have a carpenter that's been like helping us do stuff that either they didn't really want to do or couldn't get to, but he also does tile work too. So, but we're getting there. Hopefully they'll be painting the upstairs and the downstairs. The only thing that's been painted so far is the kitchen downstairs and the powder room. And then they got to paint the rest of the downstairs and upstairs. But
Wow.
I'm guessing it's probably going to be sometime in January that they'll be moving in, is what I'm guessing. Which would
And
be
where are
nice.
they living now?
Well, they're living in the little house, the house we're going to move into. We're still living in our fifth wheel. So when the big house is ready for them to move into, they'll move into the big house, and then we still have some remodel stuff to do in the little house that we're doing. And then we'll move in there. Some of it we could have been working on, and we just decided to stop doing anything to the little house until they were out of it. You know, they're trying to live in it, and trying to live in a house and remodel is hard. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've done it.
With two kids. Yeah.
And two little kids. Yes. Yeah. So we just, because we already have our new kitchen in, it's not, I mean, the kitchen's in and the countertops are in, but because we moved the kitchen to a different side of the house and they're still using their old kitchen. So we're going to rip that out, and that's going to be our living room. We kind of moved things around a little bit to suit how we wanted it set up, but we kind of stopped and decided we needed to focus on the big house so they could move. Okay, so once you get your ribbon in, then you have your cute little bag. And then what I did is, so in your packet, you have a piece of basic white. You'll fold in half. And then I just cut a piece of DSP that is 2 3/8 by 2 3/8. And you can use coordinating, you can use a different color if you wanted, however you want. Like this one is the one I made for here. And I just kept it very simple. I just put a piece of DSP on top of the evening evergreen. And then again, you have the die cuts here, and I stamped the season greetings on this little tiny one. It does fit. And then layered it on top of this one here. And I cut it out of the center of this layer. So we're going to do this like this. Let me find my card here. And then I cut a piece to fit the little envelope too. I thought that was cute. So you're going to just layer this up here. Is going to go on here like this. And let's see, I use the trees. So let me find the tree paper. And I'm going to cut a piece that is 2 3/8 by 2 1/2. And remember, if you have a pattern, you want to make sure you cut it the right direction for your pattern. So I'm going to make sure, let's see, this is the 2. So this is going to go here. Right. So I'm at 2 3/4. Just double checking my measurements. Two 5/8, 2 3/8. Go there. These up. Okay. Save your scraps. Make a card with the scraps. Okay. Then this just goes on top. Before you can attach your DSP to the evening evergreen. And then before you attach the evening evergreen piece to your basic white, don't forget to add a piece of your ribbon to wrap around it just like that. Whoops. See, I almost forgot my ribbon. Did you see that? After I tell you guys not to forget, I almost forgot. Okay. Then you're just going to stamp your greeting. And I used the little tiny seasons greetings because that's about all that's going to fit in that little tiny. Christopher, that's a little loud.
You used what ink for the season's greetings?
Evening evergreen.
Okay.
But you can use, it depends on, I mean, you could use any color you wanted, honestly, even though we are layering with the evening evergreen. But if you use paper that has the Cherry Cobbler, you know, base in it, you could stamp with the Cherry Cobbler.
Okay.
Either will work, depending on what paper you used. And we just glue that on top, and then we're going to add this with dimensionals. Okay. And then add a little bling. Just like that. And then if you want, you can always decorate the outside of the envelope with a piece. You probably have, because these are little tiny envelopes, so you probably have a little scrap piece that will fit. And you can always use the opposite side if you want. Of course, none of mine are going, oh, here, I'll do the red, since the red was on the outside of the bag. That piece isn't quite long enough. And you could do this to all your envelopes. And there we have our cute little envelope. Goes with our card. Tuck it inside our bag. And add some candy or whatnot to it. And there we go. Then the outside. So you have options here. What I did for the outside piece, and that's what the other two little pieces are for here. On this one, I'm actually on both of them. I stamped the stocking, and then I die cut a solid again. I like layering the solid behind the stamped one, but you could do two stamped ones if you want. And I stamped in evening evergreen on these, but depending on what color paper you use, you could always stamp in the soft succulent if you want, or the soft succulent, or with the cherry cobbler, depending on what paper you used. So let me get my stocking out here. And let's see, I think I am going to actually, I have a couple of the cherry cobbler here. I'm just going to see what they look like on there since I layered with the, since my flip over piece is the cherry cobbler. I'm going to try tying this in right here with this and doing it like that. And I already have one stamped because I was going to use it on something else and I didn't like it. But I'm going to do that because that kind of, in my case, with the paper I used, it kind of helps tie those, that cherry cobbler in. And then again, we'll just glue them on top of each other. Now you could put the stars on here too if you wanted, but I was really, I felt like I had used the stars so much. I was trying to use the stockings a little more. And then I did paint with Wink Stella again. And then I just attached them with dimensionals. Gotta love dimensionals. I use dimensionals, I think, on almost every project I ever make. Always popping something up.
Well, it gives it just a little bit more
dimension.
Just a tiny bit.
It does. Well, and it's very subtle too. I know like some of the brands that are out there that you can get are really thick, and sometimes they're just too thick. It pops it up way too much. But I like the size of ours. I like the thickness of it is just perfect.
And they're super inexpensive too, so
yep,
you don't feel bad using a bunch.
Oh, I agree. And I buy the minis more than I buy the bigger ones. The bigger ones I used to always cut in half anyway, so I tend to buy the minis more than anything myself. But there, that actually worked good with that cherry cobbler. So there you go. There is that one. Everybody done?
Yep.
Almost, because I decided to add one to the other side, but you can keep.
Oh, that's okay. We'll wait.
Side.
Because the last one is going to be using a bunch of scrap as you get all those scrap pieces that we have laying around now from all the paper we've been cutting. This is what we're going to do, is come up with this kind of pattern right here. Ooh, I got a little shaking going on now. It's from my lights. So this one will take, it's not going to take that long once you get your paper lined up. So what you want to do is go through all your little scrap pieces now that we have laying around. And I'm going to show you another one I did of that same thing. So here's another one in the cherry cobbler and some of the other colors. And these, what these are is 1-inch strips. And then we cut them off as we go. And you'll see as we make it. But you can pick any colors you want. You can do reds and greens together. You can do all greens like I did here, or you can do a combination of both. But you want to gather up several 1-inch strips, and we're going to be gluing them down to this piece that is, it's the smaller basic white piece. It's 3 1/4 by 5, I think. Yeah. So go through your pile of DSP that you have and pull out any pieces that are big enough to get 1-inch strips out of. So gather all those together first. And like I said, it can be any colors. And if they're a little over 1 inch, pull those, because you can always cut that to be 1 inch. And even if you have little tiny pieces like this, because when we first start, we're going to start, you know, some of these corners end up to be little tiny pieces. Those will work also. So kind of get your scraps together. That's going to be over, so I'll cut that down. Like, I have a lot of them because I've been making, yeah, so some of these are 1-inch strips here, and you can always use front and back of anything. Those are all already 1-inch strips. That's a 1-inch. So gather your strips and then let me know when everybody's got their strips together. And I'm going to cut a few of these down to 1 inch. So I'm going to cut this off. That's garbage. And then I'm going to cut this. My fingertips have a little bit of glue on them, so it's wanting to stick to my paper. So there's a 1 inch. Now, you don't have to do 1 inch. Like if you have a bunch of strips that are closer to 3/4 or 1/2 inch, you could do them all that size. In this particular way of using these scraps, I just did the same width for all of them. So if you have, like I said, 3/4 or 1/2 inch strips already, you could go that size. I just felt like 1 inch is a good size, and that's how I've seen this type of card made. And I don't even really know what they call this design. I just called it my scrap piece card or something. I don't know if there's a technical name for it or not. And these
Real
are
quick,
all,
oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Real quick, I missed something because I was cutting out that talking. So we're using the smaller white piece to do the scraps, and then we're going to mount it on top of another white piece. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure I got that right.
That is what we're doing. You have that correct. Okay, so I think I have enough cut for now. And again, this is where your silicone mat comes in really handy, because you're going to be a lot of gluing. Now, I use mono glue when I do this particular type of project. And what I do first is I lay mine out. Sorry, I'm hoping he's going to stop pounding so hard. I lay mine out first. Like I'll start with a piece there. Like I'll look for a little piece that maybe I want to use down here in the corner. And if you have a big enough small piece, and then I'll slide this down like this. So this would be where I would start. And then let's see, I'm going to do all different colors this time, so it's going to be a wild one. So then I'm going to go maybe a little bit lighter over here like this. And again, this little corner is going to be small, so I'd probably try and put something that'll fit a small piece there. And then over here, I'm gonna we'll go this one. And let's see, all you're doing is kind of laying out your pieces however you want. Like if I want, I could end up coming up here and doing this and maybe slide this in here like that. And then let's go that one there. And what I'm probably going to do is, because this piece is really long and I'm only using a little portion of it, and eventually we're going to cut all these up. I'm just going to cut this right here because I know it's still plenty long, and then I'm going to use this piece up here. And then I'll just find a little tiny one to fit in there. So I kind of lay mine out like that first when I start out to make sure I like how it looks, and if I like all the colors I've put in there or whatever. And since I didn't use much of the stripes, I'm going to actually pull that stripe out, and I'm going to go with this red here, I think. There. I'm going to probably do this one like this. And remember, you have back sides to all of these. So always kind of flip over and see like what you have. Maybe you have something on the back side you like better. Like, I'm not really sure I like the cherry cobbler added in here. I almost want to go with more of the greens. Like if I did it, and I'll show you. And that's just my preference. That doesn't mean you're not going to like it, but like I could put this in instead and maybe add that there and add some more of the greens. And then instead of starting with that, maybe I'll start with, well, this. Wait, I didn't use this one at all. There, I'm going to stick to more of the greens for mine. Anyway, I could keep playing with it, but I'm going to just start gluing. So I always start with this corner right here. And you can kind of slide your pieces just a little bit. And I just put a whole bunch of glue down and I just start gluing. And you're going to have pieces sticking out the sides, but we're going to take all those off when we get to the end. You just have to make sure you're paying attention to your corner underneath here so that you don't like push it up a little too far and then you have that corner sticking out. And then I go to the long piece here. And all I'm going to do is like take some glue all the way up, and I may have it further than I need it right this second, but it's not going to hurt it. It's not going to get in the way. And then I butt this up against here. Lay that piece down. And then I'll work towards this direction, and then I'll work towards that direction. Now, I don't know if this is how other people do it. This is just how I came up with how to put all these pieces together. Some people would probably just glue them down as they go, but I kind of like laying it out a little bit so I can see what my pattern looks like. And you're just using scrap, so.
Yep, I like it better laying it out first.
Yeah. Well, and you're just using, it's just a way to use up your scrap pieces, so. And then I'll move over to this side. And that's why if you run out of one color, you can always go clip off a piece off the side if you're like getting to a point where you don't want to cut more of your scrap pieces. That's why I have so many that you see angle cuts at, because I've cut them off from the side of the card. And I'll show you some others. I've been making a bunch of these now because I like doing it with the scrap pieces, and I've made them with so many different DSPs here lately. Made one for some in the monthly club that's going to go out for this month. But I haven't decided if that's going to be one of the cards yet. I made one, but I ended up making so many cards right now for the monthly club. I have to pick my 5. I made more than 5. I was on a roll with it. Okay. that piece there, and then I'm gonna put just a little tiny piece of, let's see. I'm actually gonna cut off of this piece here. Oh wait, here's one. And I'm gonna put that one right there, and that tied in that color. Then once you have them all down, and this is why I use the silicone mat, because you end up with a lot of glue behind here and like it pulls up stuff. But once you have them all down, then you can flip it over and trim all these pieces off. And as you see, some of them you didn't maybe use much of. That's why I say you can use all these scraps up to make several of these, this type of card, because you don't have to cut your base piece at this size. You could cut it at the regular 4 by 5 1/4. You could cut it smaller. You can make a square card out of it. It's the sky's the limit. And I'm going to show you some other samples here of what I did with some of the scraps. So I'm just following the edge on the back side. Trimming them all off. Okay, and that's what we end up with when it's all trimmed off and done. Isn't that pretty? I think it's a great way to use up scraps. And then after that, all you're going to do is layer it up. So here's the one in the greens. Let me get some of these scraps out of here now. See, I have a lot of scraps still left here because I had made a lot of cards, but you could do a lot with all these scraps. And like I said, I'm going to show you another card I did doing the scrappy strip technique. Oh, my husband's trying to call. Guess he's not going to get it answered. Okay, so then what I did, and I embossed the backside. Sorry about the phone ringing. I embossed the backs or the piece of basic white right here with that tasteful textile. Again, if you have that and want to emboss with it, but you don't have to, you could use it plain, because all you're going to do is layer this up to this. And then, you will add, once you layer it on top, then you're going to add your evening evergreen ribbon on your circles here. Are you still working on your scrappy strip stuff? Or your strips? I don't want to get too far ahead, because then all I did is I stamped the May Your Days Be Merry and Bright in the evening evergreen, and then I stamped the star, the smaller star, in the soft succulent, but I stamped it off a couple times so that it was much lighter for the inside of that. But you could do the stocking if you wanted, or you don't have to stamp like that. You could just stamp your greeting if you wanted, but that's what I did for that part. Now here, I'm going to show you a couple other cards that I did using the scraps. So here is one that I did. I put all the scraps down straight across on a piece of basic white, and then I took our triangle dies and cut it and made it into trees.
Oh, that's fun. That's fun.
So that's another way to use the scraps. And then here is what everybody calls the scrappy strip technique. Sorry for it being a little fuzzy right now. Sometimes my LED, I guess LED lights sometimes affect videos when you're doing it. And I've only ever had it happen to me when I'm doing Zooms. When I do a regular video, it never happens, and it wasn't doing it at the beginning, but I see it's doing it now. But anyway, here's another one with the, and this is called the scrappy strip technique. And this one, you can use any size pieces, and you just take them and you cut them at different angles, and then you just lay them out, glue them down, and trim off the excess, just like you did with the other one. But that's another way. And then here's the card we just are making. Here's what I did with the other, with this paper. Ooh, this is really fuzzy. I did the same thing with this one. But it just shows you how you can use a lot of your strips up. And then I will show you the one that I just did with just a second, let me find it. Now, this is going to be for monthly club for November, but I haven't picked exactly what cards we're going to make. So if one of these are in there, then you're getting a sneak peek for those that are in monthly club. Amanda hasn't joined monthly club yet, but I did the same effect. This is called the, it's like a quilter's block or something, this particular shape, but these are skinnier on this one, but it gives you the same idea. But then here's like the same one we just did, this technique, but then I embossed the gold piece. I put them all down, and then because my fingers would get gluey, I could see little speckles on the gold shimmer paper or the foil paper. And to get rid of that, because it's really hard to wipe it back off of the foil paper. So then I ended up running it through and embossed the whole thing. But it just shows you another way to use scraps. So hopefully you like doing that. Not everybody likes to do stuff with the scraps like that. I like to be able to use up my scraps, and I think it's a great way to use them up. Because we all end up with lots of scraps from DSP.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, unless you're like, I used to not be a fan of DSP. I'll be honest, until I became a demonstrator, I always would be like, oh, I don't like cutting it up. Or I felt like it was always, I don't know. I just liked stamping more than like using DSP paper to make stuff with. And then when I became a demonstrator, and I have to say our DSPs are better than other DSPs out there. One, the quality of them, they're a little bit heavier, and two, they're almost always two-sided unless we have a specialty foil paper. That would be the only time they're not two-sided. And I like having the two sides. I like being able to, like, when you make 3D items or something like that where you are doing foldovers, it coordinates. And then I started using DSPs more for cards and stuff like that, which I think they added a nice dimension to a card. So I've learned how to combine the DSP and stamping all together and turning it still turns into a nice card. And you're not cheating because, like I said, we have so many nice DSPs now. Whew, sky's the limit.
Well, the DSP adds so much and you don't have to work really for it.
Right.
Yeah. And you can whip out a lot of cards using DSP versus if you were like stamping or and embossing or,
right,
you know, depending on how, like, I remember years ago, we used to send out, because we have, you know, our Danford Electric business, and we used to send out, I used to send out Christmas cards to like all our customers, or anyway, I mean, we were sending out like over 100 cards, just not to family. That would be just to customers and stuff. And one year I designed a card, and I don't know what I was thinking, because I stamped and embossed all this stuff on this card, and I had to make 100 of them. It was like, what?
Oh, wow.
Over 100, I think I ended up making. I did it. And then I thought, well, that was really stupid of me because that was a lot of work. But since then, people don't mail out as many cards anymore. It's kind of sad, really, that we've come to the point that businesses don't send out as much to each other anymore. And instead, they'll just send you a Merry Christmas email or whatever. But I do design my cards a little different now when I'm making a whole bunch of them. I feel like paper can make it so much easier. Like, even if you did like the one where we cut the piece in half, the diagonal ones, those would be easy to make a whole bunch of.
yeah,
And you could just use a whole pack of paper, because you could make all of them a little different with, you know, you could use the same design and layout like we did, but you'd just be using different paper for each one. So I just feel like DSP paper adds so much to our stamping opportunities. And we have so many nice DSPs out there now. And we just layer that onto the front. And then I just layered the 2 circles together and then attach them with dimensionals. Now I tied on this one, I tied a little half knot. You don't have to. I'm almost out of, well, actually, I think I'm out of that ribbon. I ordered more, but I didn't get it yet. It's supposed to come next week. So I think I don't have enough to even tie a knot, but I'll have to look and see if I have more. And then of course you could add a piece of DSP and you could pick from any of the ones you've put on the front of your card to the inside piece and to your envelope. So that's the nice thing about when you're combining cards, you know, DSP with stamping and cards, you can always decorate the inside by just adding a piece of that DSP to the inside of it and to your envelope. There we go. That was the last one.
All right.
Whoop, whoop. Made it through even with all the pounding and no power outages or just my shaking here. Not sure why, but yeah. So hopefully you guys liked all the projects I came up with this time.
Yeah, liked them very much.
Thank you. And yeah, that's all I have for this one. And of course, anytime you can join Monthly Club. It's always available. I'm working. Cheryl's in Monthly Club, so she's already in it. So we're still working on Amanda to come to the dark side. Join us for Monthly Club.
Yep.
Yes, and we have a sale coming up next week with cardstock is 10% off. Inks, I think, are 15% off, and dyes, I think, are 15% off. I can't remember the exact percentages, but I'm going to do a post. It'll go out tomorrow. It'll be out there on Monday too. The sale starts on Tuesday, 16th through the 18th. We have a sale coming up. It's a good time to stock up on like cardstock, and if you don't have certain ink colors, great time to get them. So, and I'm going to do a little special with it for people that order. So I'll have that out there too. What else? That's about it. My next Zoom class is in December. Actually, it'll be the last one for this year, is in December, and we're going to use the Whimsical Trees stamp set. So we're going to be using this stamp set and dies. So keep that in mind if you want to join me for that one. You'll get some of the DSP, and I'll show it to you. That DSP is really pretty. Just a second, let me find it. And I will show you, because you're gonna get some of the DSP with it and ribbon, and you're gonna get some of the snowflakes that look like this. You get a sheet of these with it. And hopefully we won't have pounding going on by then.
I was gonna say the snowflakes are really heavy.
But yeah, this paper is so pretty. Like here's the back sides, but just real quick, I'll show you. I haven't played with it as much as I would have liked to, but the paper itself is like, again, it's paper that you could just make cards with without doing anything else with it. But there's all the front sides. And then when you flip it, we've got all these on the back sides that are different solid colors.
Oh, I like those.
Yeah, not traditional Christmas colors really to some
Yeah.
extent with the petal pink in there, or the I think it's actually not petal pink, it is the other pink. The pink I don't like as well, but Blushing Bride, yeah. But this is really pretty for being a pink color, which is not my favorite, but yeah. So this is the next class we're doing in December. It's the fourth. Thank you. I couldn't remember if it was the 5th or the 4th, but it's the first Saturday in December. But anyway, yeah, that one's out there. There'll be a reminder coming out pretty soon on it too. So
And
yeah.
the delicate dahlias is that part of the, what's that?
That one was the bonus class I did for everybody that didn't have it because I had so many. That one I have them all done. I just have to cut and get everybody's packets ready to send out. So but that one will be just to go. So you'll get a video with it.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
email it. Yeah, I'll be emailing a video with that one. I already have them all designed. I actually got those done. I got bonus class done, monthly clubs done. So yeah, I just have to start cutting paper.
Okay. Okay.
The designing part's the fun part. The cutting all the paper for the packets is the part that takes a long time.
Yes.
But anyway, well, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and the rest of the weekend. Hopefully it stays dry for a few days. I mean, I thought it was supposed to rain today, but so far it's been dry here. So I hope it stays that way for a while.
Yeah, I hope so too.
I know we need to dry out.
So I will meet you after Thanksgiving, right?
Yes. Let's see. Well, Thanksgiving is the 25th. Are you not gonna, well, I'll let you know when I have everything ready and we'll play it by
Okay.
ear.
Okay, that's
Because
fine.
I'll be around either way. But yeah, I was looking at the calendar and I thought, oh, I'm gonna have to mail everything before the 25th, because normally monthly club I mail out at least by the 25th. But so I'll probably have it all ready by the 24th. So either we'll meet then or we can meet the following Monday or something, whatever works with you. I'll let you know.
Okay, that works.
Okay, sounds
That
good. All
works.
right.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thanks, Amanda. Good to see you. Well,
Happy
see you, but good to
Thanksgiving.
have you here.
Yeah. Okay, happy
All right, see you
Thanksgiving to
later.
both of you.
Yes, you too, Cheryl. Have a happy
Enjoy it.
Thanksgiving. All
Yeah,
right.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you guys
Bye.
later. Bye.